13 minutes past 7 now. David Cameron will face tough questions from MPs in the Commons today following the fallout over allegations that he avoided paying his full share of taxes.
Well, UKIP leader Nigel Farage, who joins us now, has called the Prime Minister a hypocrite for criticising others when he had offshore holdings himself. So the charge is hypocrisy rather than wrongdoing.
He's done nothing wrong at all. He's done absolutely nothing wrong at all. He hasn't avoided tax in any way at all. When he sold his investment, he paid the tax on it. Now, the inheritance tax argument that his mother gave him money and that if she lives for 7 years, he hasn't got to pay inheritance tax. You know, there are virtually every house in London now is over the inheritance tax threshold, and this is what tens of thousands of families do every single year. His problem is he chose very, very stupidly to attack Jimmy Carr personally for what he called aggressive tax avoidance.
And talked about morality of it.
But it was morally wrong. And that's the trouble, isn't it? If the Prime Minister is criticising other people for doing something that he says is morally wrong, then he has to be held to the same standard.
And that's the problem. It is not a question of legality, it's a question of bad political judgment.
Damien Collins just said to us that he thought everyone in the Cabinet would be perfectly entitled to go out and invest in the exact same offshore trusts as David Cameron.
Well, yeah, I mean...
Would you be happy for them to do that?
No, I mean, I was advised to open up a trust for my kids about 15 years ago. I did, and then I thought, you know what, the world's changed. It doesn't look right, so I closed it.
Well, actually, what you said was, in your case, that you didn't think you had enough money to justify.
But I could,
you pleaded poverty.
That was a bit tongue-in-cheek. No, I just felt in the modern world, in politics, it didn't look right. Not illegal, but didn't look right.
Well, that's presumably why, in 2010, the Prime Minister got rid of this holding in Blairmore.
Yes, which is why he was so stupid in 2012 to attack Jimmy Carr for this kind of thing.
So the Cabinet shouldn't all rush out and invest in these offshore trusts, then?
I think it would be very unwise.
So people will be asking, OK, we've heard Damien Collins be unequivocal. There's nothing wrong with it, so yes, the Cabinet can all go and do this. You're saying they shouldn't. Explain to our viewers why they shouldn't.
It's a question of how things look sometimes in life, and I just think that the whole debate about offshore money is so complicated that I think right at the minute, for people in politics to touch it is an error of judgment.
But simplify the debate, because people are still saying, well, why then? Why is it wrong?
Right.
If Cameron paid the full tax back in England, why is it wrong?
Yeah, the majority of people who set up offshore vehicles do so to mitigate against inheritance tax for their kids. So, you know, Isle of Man, Jersey, Guernsey, that is what most people do. It is an absolutely sensible thing, you know, for people to do, but it just at the minute doesn't look quite right.
I wonder if, you know, on a separate issue, in a sense, there have been allegations that this all plays into the hands of the Brexit campaigners. Because if you knock trust in the Prime Minister, who wants us to stay in the EU, then it, you know, sort of destroys his credibility when it comes to other political arguments. Well, so even though you're sitting here saying, well, actually, he's done nothing wrong and it's all absolutely fine, are you secretly, you know, when we're off air, rubbing your hands with glee and thinking, fantastic, we've won
I don't trust him for not holding a full, free and fair referendum, because this week he's going to send out 27 million bits of paper using 10 million quid of our money to tell us what we should think and what we should do. That's why I don't trust him.
Now, there are two Remain parties, if you like, or elements of the Remain camp. You're in one, Boris and Michael...
The Leave camp.
Leave camp, yeah.
Sorry, the Leave camp.
Sorry, that's okay.
You couldn't possibly have got confused about Nigel Farage's position on the EU.
I did your April Fool's Day tweet. Maybe that's what got me.
I'm a little jet lagged. My apologies. There are two camps of Leave, right? This week you have to make a decision, or it's made for you, about which one is going to be going forward as the one we have to vote for if we want to. Why should it be you guys?
Because what we've put together under the Grassroots Out movement are 15 different organisations from the centre, from the right and from the left, trade unions, the Communist Party of Great Britain's with us, Respect's with us. So we've crossed absolutely the entire spectrum, and I think, given the Electoral Commission is asking for breadth, we should get it. But look, I met last week with a couple of the Cabinet Ministers who were in the Vote Leave camp, and we have decided, as grown-ups, whoever gets it, we're all going to work together. What matters is winning this referendum and making June the 23rd Independence Day.
Do you think that what's happened with Cameron in terms of this tax scandal, for want of a better phrase, has helped your chances now of persuading the British public he just can't be trusted, as Susanna said?
Well,
hang on, I didn't say that. He couldn't be trusted.
Susanna quoted other people.
Thank you. I'm politically neutral and all that.
It's an issue, but I think, frankly, I think sending this leaflet out to every household, that's why people shouldn't trust him. He is clearly not going to hold a full, free and fair referendum. He's going to use everything he can, with all the tools of the establishment, to try and bully us into voting to remain.
Well,
but I'm not convinced we will.
On the other side, of course, people are desperate for clear information, and the argument is, why isn't it the government's responsibility to provide that?
I would be delighted if the government put out a leaflet and said, here are the arguments for, here are the arguments against. You know, a proper, neutral leaflet where both sides could put their case, that would be fine. What he's doing is an abusive position.
Nigel Farage, we'd love you to remain, but you now have to leave.
Very
Sorry,
good.
that's the way it is.